Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm here to talk about an ETF, my favorite ETF, and one that will pretty much jumpstart your retirement journey. It outperforms every other ETF, the broad market, and it's been doing this for a long time. So I'm very happy to bring this to you guys and show you that there is a stock out there that is going to consistently outperform the market. It's very hard to find, and that's why I'm bringing it to you guys today. So if you do enjoy this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel. We're at 225 subscribers. Appreciate you guys a lot. Yeah, let's get right into it. So you can see, unrelated, but today was a very good day in the portfolio. We're up $653 as of recording this video, and we're almost at 25,000. It's a big milestone for the portfolio, a fourth of the way to 100,000. And yeah, so that's a great win for me in the portfolio. I'm very happy with that. So let's get into it right now. Let's talk about the ETF. It's SCHG. It's Schwab US Large Cap Growth ETF, ticker symbol SCHG. So this ETF is by Charles Schwab. It's a large cap growth ETF, as it says. So what this ETF is comprised of is large cap companies. So you can see Schwab actually invests in a lot of technology. So what they do is they switch out companies that are the largest company, or they're moving the fastest, they're making the most money. You can see Nvidia is one of their top holdings because Nvidia stock has been so successful. Microsoft the same, Apple the same, Amazon, Broadcom, Meta. A lot of these companies, I mean, every one of these companies is a large cap stock. They're companies that, run up the fastest, they have the highest returns, and they've been doing that for a long time. That's why they're in this ETF, and that's why the ETF is performing so well. So we see the past year, it's up 22%. That doesn't really mean anything, just base value. Past 5 years, they're up 127%. That means a little something. That's a little bit more than the S&P. And then we see all time, they're up 866%. So the year-on-year returns aren't that important, but what we want to look at is down here, the average annual return. Because this is an ETF, they are, I'd grade ETFs ranked on what their average annual return is. So let's compare this. So we have the past year, they're up 16.35%. The past 3 years, they're up almost 27% a year. That's compounding annual growth rate, by the way. And then we have the past 5 years, they're up 18%. The past 10 years, it's been an average of 16.73%. And since 2009, since inception of this ETF, which is over, almost 20 years now, they've been performing very well, more like 15. But they've been doing very good. This stock, or this ETF, they're almost 17% a year. That's very great to see, because if we look at one similar, let's look at VU, which a lot of people invest in because of the low cost. We see this one averages out to 14.46%. So that's less. 2% difference, or 2% change does make a difference. So VU is a really good one, but SPY has been around for the longest, and we can see with this one, they only average 10% a year, which is usually the base case for most people that are investing in the stock market. They want to make 10% a year, and you can see every figure is a little bit lower than SCHG here. So if we look at actually, let's check out the investment calculator. This is a tool I really like to use. I'll link it down below for you guys. You can play around and see how much you can make. But it's very interesting. So let's say we're starting with $1,000. Everyone probably has $1,000 laying around, and if you don't, you could save that up very fast. So let's see after, let's say we're 20 years old, we're investing in our Roth IRA, we want to retire when we're 65, and let's say we just invest in the broad market and we're working an average job for the rest of our life. So this is a low case. This is a base case. You're not making crazy money, but you're investing $500 a month for 45 years. You just throw that out of your paycheck. That's $6,000 a year. Not that much, just a little bit of your paycheck. You're ending with $4.6 million when you retire. That's pretty good. You can't really complain about that. And when you do retire over here, you can see the interest you're accruing is over $400,000 a year. So if you do the rule where you take out, 4% a year once you're retired, and you accrue this interest, you're making a pretty penny. So just to say the least. But then let's see what would have happened if you did the same thing for 45 years, invested $500, but you put it into SCHG. So this is it averages more than 16%, but let's see, 16%. You'd have $33 million. So let's just put that into perspective again. So 10%, you have $4.6 million. A lot of money, a lot of money. But you put it in SCHG, not SPY. 16% returns. You have $33 million. So that's almost a 10x. And you can see the interest you're accruing at that point is, instead of 400,000, it's 4.5 million. So you can see that's a pretty big jump, and the interest you're accruing is also a lot more than your total contributions. You can see it really is time in the market. How much time you're in the market is how much money you're going to make. You're going to make more money with less, or you're going to have higher returns with less money put in if you have more time in the market. And if you don't have a lot of time, you probably want to put in more money. Like if this dropped down to 30 years, you can see that 33 million goes to 3 million. But if you put more money in, let's say you double it, then you can get it up to 7 million. I mean, there's you got to play around with this tool. You definitely got to check it out and see how it works for yourself. But you can see, I mean, this is a very great ETF to invest in. It's a lot better than SPY, in my opinion, because what they're doing makes a lot of sense. It's pretty, cut and paste. It's pretty simple. Their expense ratio is almost a little high, but it's 0.09. That's not bad at all. It's less than 1%. But or it's less than 0.1%. I mean, there's really, it's not bad at all. But you can see it right here. That's SPY is actually, I think SCHG. I was gonna say that seems a little high. SPY is actually pretty high. So SCHG is 0.04, along with, you can see VU right here, which is very similar to SPY, has an expense ratio of 0.03. So these are what you want to invest in for sure. I would say honestly, don't buy SPY unless that's what you want to buy. I'd say I'd put my money in VU instead of SPY if you want something a little more safe. But I think that this is the best ETF by far to put your money in. I think if you do have your hard-earned money from your job that you've been working, putting those hours in, SCHG is the best company to invest in, or the best ETF to invest in. My fault. Because ETFs, these are ones that you're going to put in your Roth IRA for retirement. You're going to not worry about them. You don't need to know anything. You can just throw the money in an ETF, max out your Roth IRA. So let's say your max is $7,000 a year. You're putting that in. You don't have to pay taxes on it. So that comes out to a little bit over. So it's around $600 a month, $550. $550 we'll say. And let's say you're starting this one. I mean, if you start when you're 18, you want to retire at 65. You have a lot of room. That's 47 years. You could make a lot of money. I mean, the younger you are, you're watching this, the more time you have to invest. Get on it as soon as possible. Honestly, I'm 19 right now. I'm going to turn 20 in about 6 months. But I was lucky enough to get into investing pretty early, so I'm happy with how the journey is going so far. But I mean, obviously, it's a very patient game. You have to have a lot of patience for this investing game, and you can't be emotional. Like I've said in previous videos, you have to be patient when it comes to this. But you can see time really is of the essence, because we have that 47 years. I have $50 million when I retire. You take that 47 down to 30. I start investing when I'm 35, not 18. You have almost $4 million. Still a good amount. If you're 35, I mean, there's no reason not to start investing. Even if you're only going to do it for 10 years, let's look at what the returns are like on that. You have $157,000 after 10 years. That's not bad from investing $550 a month. You can't complain with that. And let's say you invest 1,000, you have 281,000. I mean, you're still you're more than doubling your money. You're like 1.5 xing your money with this after 10 years. So you really can't complain. I mean, the stock market's gonna give you money for no work. That's why you put money in. It's passive income. It's a great tool that America actually has. Every country has, but America's economy has actually been very successful as the U.S., and that is why the average return is 10% a year, because we grow, the GDP grows, inflation hopefully drops, and that's why we have the stock market, and there's a way to make money that easily. So I also wanted to look at this article right here about SCHG. The long-term performance, the strategy may be simple, but it has been effective. In fact, SCHG has beaten the broader market over various time frames and for many years. So there's a lot of ETFs out there that have beat the market for 1 year or 2 years or maybe 3 years, but none of them have done it just how SCHG has. SCHG has consistently beat the market by 6 percentage points. 6%. for the past, over 15 years, about 16 years they've been doing it, and you can't find that anywhere else. So yeah, looking at it differently, this consistently strong performance has created significant wealth for SCHG holders over time. As of the most recent month, an investor who put $100,000 into the fund 10 years ago would have an investment worth $431,000 today. So you're 4xing your money. You're more than 4xing your money in 10 years, which is a higher percentage return than 16%. We can see that more recently, SCHG has actually been returning a lot more. Yeah, so I mean, SCHG, you can make a lot of money. SCHG offers investors diversified exposure to top large U.S. or cap U.S. stocks. It owns 228 stocks, and its top 10 holdings combined to make up 54.5% of its portfolio. So what you see right here are their main holdings. This is what makes up most of the portfolio right here. It's 54% of the portfolio. It gives investors significant exposure to the stocks that have powered U.S. markets higher in recent years. So I like the strategy a lot because, I mean, if you go to another stock, like if you go to VU, which is performing pretty well too, you can see that their holdings are actually, the percentages are a lot lower than what SCHG has for these. And then if we go all the way to SPY, whose returns are great, 10% a year, you can't complain. We can see they're a lot lower. So you get into the 2%, 1% very fast. Their number of holdings is a lot higher than if we look at SCHG, which is in the 200s. I think it was 230 holdings for this one. So they do have different sectors, but they are primarily technology based. That's because that's the sector that's been performing the best. There's no other reason. There's no emotion. There's no, bias in this. It's just that's the sector that's been performing the best over the past, couple of years, and they're going to put their money in the large U.S. companies that are growing the fastest. So you can see right here, this is how they pick their stocks. Very, very good formula, very simple. No one's thought of it yet. I like what they're doing. And it's also a cheap ETF. It's $30. So if you trade on a brokerage where you can't buy fractional shares, which I know a lot of people do, you can get this stock for $30. You only need, and I mean, these other ETFs are very expensive, and it's daunting. You want to buy a share of VU, you want to buy a share of SPY, it's $500, $600, almost $700, and then you want to buy a share of SCHG, it's $30. So it feels a lot better to have 20 shares of SCHG than one share of SPY too, because 20 is a lot bigger than one. And the stock is performing better. So they actually did just do a split. That's why the stock is so cheap. But I mean, you can just look at all time on this graph. It's a great performing ETF. You can't go wrong with this, especially a good one to put in your Roth IRA tax advantaged account. And yeah, I mean, this company is trading really well, or not company, this ETF is trading really well, and there's no reason not to invest in it. If we want to look a little bit more at the article, we can see, there's a little bit of risk. We can see right here for SCHG is that many of its large holdings trade at premium valuations, which is fine. I'm fine with that. They trade at premium valuations because they're great companies. That's completely fine with me. I think that makes a lot of sense. That's how it should be. I want to trade stocks that are at premium valuations because they're premium companies. And if we play around a little bit more with this, we can see if you get out of college at 22, you want to retire 65, like we've been saying, 43 years. Let's say since you did go to college, you get a pretty good paying job. You're making, you live in California, maybe you're making $10,000 a year out of college. Not that uncommon these days. Maybe you're making, I don't know. Yeah, $10,000 a month, we'll say. So $120,000 a year. We'll say that your additional contribution per month, you're going pretty aggressive. You're putting 30% of your income into the stock market. Yeah, so that just goes to show if you have a good paying job and even if you don't have a good paying job, if you just make $5,000 a month, but your main goal is to just be really rich, which I know a lot of people's main goal is, and you just got out of college, you stumbled across this video and you're like, oh, I want to do investing. This is a pretty good way to get rich. You can see right here, you're putting $3,000 in a month, so that's not nothing. You're putting $36,000 into, you can't put that all into your Roth IRA, but you could put some in an individual portfolio as well. The cap, that would be way past the cap for the IRA. But you can see your interest that you're accruing. So your portfolio is growing by $20 million a year by the time you're 65. So you're making over $20 million a year by the time you're 65. And your portfolio is worth $144 million dollars. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that much money, and I think a lot of you guys watching wouldn't either. And let's say, you hold this a little bit longer till you're 75 and you just keep investing. You're like, oh, I'm kind of living all right. I don't mind this. It's $638 million. So that's why Warren Buffett is so wealthy. He's been able to get these compound interest in the later years of his life. So let's say you're 85, then you're at Warren Buffett numbers. And then if you live to be 95 and you're still just investing, your wealth is pretty generational, just to say the least. You're probably going to be okay. I don't even know what the world's going to be like in 73 years, but if the multitudes stay the same for SCHG, you are going to be making an interest of almost $2 billion a year. So you're probably going to be okay. I know inflation will probably be a little bit higher by then, but I think billions are still going to be pretty respected in the financial space. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. But yeah, guys, that's all I have for today's video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you guys for watching. I'd suggest, buying this ETF, getting into it. I'll link the link for the investment calculator down below. You guys can play around with that. And, I love playing around with that and seeing how much money I possibly could make. Let's say I average a return of, let's say, like what I've done year to date this year, actually. Sorry, guys, I got to do this real quick. But what I've averaged year to date this year is 45%. So let's say I do 45% for 20 years. And I'm investing $1,000 a month. I start with $1,000. I'd be pretty happy. That's not gonna happen. Hopefully it does, but yeah, I'd be a pretty happy guy. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.